Okay, think about how many things around you are, well, stuck together, often invisibly.
Right.
From the screen you might be looking at right now to maybe your car. Adhesives, they're kind of the unsung heroes, aren't they?
Absolutely. Doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
And today, we're diving into a really interesting type, adhesives that react to light, specifically ultraviolet light. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We're digging into the global UV adhesives market today using insights from a brand new report.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field. UV adhesives, basically, they're high-performance glues.
Okay.
And they harden, like, almost instantly when you shine UV light on them.
Instantly. Wow.
Pretty much. This rapid curing creates incredibly strong bonds. So you can see why that's a huge advantage in industries that need precision and speed.
Like what sort of industries?
Well, think about assembling smartphones, right? Tiny components, really tight tolerances, or medical devices. They need to be super reliable. UV adhesives are perfect for that.
Okay, so let's get a sense of the scale here. This report, it says the global market for UV adhesives in 2025 is already pretty big. USD 2,384.6 million.
That's substantial, almost 2.4 billion.
Exactly. But what really caught my eye is the growth. By 2033, it's projected to more than double.
Double.
Yet reaching USD 4,821.7 million,
Wow.
which translates to a compound annual growth rate, the 2 CAGR, of 9.2% between 2025 and 2033. That feels pretty robust.
That is robust. 9.2% year-on-year average growth.
And a big part of that, the report says, is down to booming demand from electronics.
Exactly. So in 2025, Asia-Pacific, it doesn't just have the biggest share, around 37%, which is about $882 million.
Nearly 900 million, yeah.
Right. But it's also expected to grow the fastest. We're talking a CAGR of 11.1% through 2033.
11%.
Yeah. And that really mirrors the huge manufacturing expansion happening in, China, India, Japan.
Absolutely. See that industrial growth, especially cars and electronics. And you can imagine the demand for these super fast adhesives just skyrocketing.
Precisely. And the report also points out something else interesting in Asia Pacific.
What's up?
Growing use in newer tech areas, like 3D printing and even smart packaging.
Ah, okay. So not just traditional manufacturing.
No, it's branching out. Now, connecting that globally, North America comes in second,
Yeah.
holding over 29% of the market. So what's that, about $691 million in 2025?
Still a very significant chunk.
Definitely. And growth-wise, it's projected second fastest too, 7.6% CAGR, so still very strong demand there.
And I guess the drivers are similar. Automotive, electronics,
Yeah.
maybe medical devices too.
Yeah, pretty much. Automotive, electronics, and definitely medical. Plus, the report notes a real push in North America for more eco-friendly adhesives, greener options.
Right, that environmental angle. And the U.S. market alone is huge, right? Like 545 million in 2025, growing at 7.4%.
That's right. And Canada and Mexico showing healthy growth, too, around 8.4% and 8.1% CAGR, respectively.
Okay, what about Europe?
Europe's also a major player, over 24% share. That's about 572 million in 2025.
And the growth?
A solid 8% CAGR projected, so slightly slower than North America or Asia Pacific, but still very healthy.
And which countries are leading there?
Well, you've got key players like the UK, Germany, France. They're all significant contributors. The UK, for example, has a strong consumer electronics market, which seems to be driving its quite high 8.8% projected CAGR. Germany around 8.2%, France 7.2%.
Interesting how the specific industrial makeup of each country influences that.
Definitely. It paints a picture of how these regional dynamics connect to, the bigger global economic trends.
The report also mentions other regions, right? South
Right.
America, Middle East, Africa. Smaller shares now, but
Smaller now, yeah, but showing potential. South America, for instance, over 3.8% share, about $90 million. Middle East, around 4%, $95 million. Africa, smaller still, 2.2%, about $52 million.
some decent growth projected. I think I saw South America at 9.6% CAGR.
That's right. And the Middle East at 9.7%. Africa's a bit lower at 5.3%.
So what's driving that growth in places like South America and the Middle East? Is it the same factors?
It often reflects ongoing industrialization as their manufacturing sectors grow and look for more efficiency.
They start adopting these advanced technologies.
Yeah, exactly. The benefits, speed, precision, strong bonds become really attractive. It kind of echoes how things started earlier in Asia Pacific,
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, stepping back. The overall picture looked pretty bright for UV adhesives. What are the main things pushing this growth globally?
The report highlights a few key drivers. One big one is definitely the increased use of UV curing in automotive and packaging.
How so?
Well, in cars, think about assembling interior parts or complex sensors. UV lets you do that faster.
Right. Shorter assembly lines.
Exactly. And in packaging, it's used for rapidly hardened adhesives, but also special coatings. Really speeds up production. Actually, I saw Acrylate Technologies was just showing off some new UV curing tech back in May. So innovation is ongoing.
Faster production means cost savings, higher output.
Okay.
And medical devices, you mentioned that earlier. That's another big growth area.
A huge one. The medical field needs incredible precision, durability, and crucially, biocompatibility.
Stuff that's safe to use in or on the body.
Precisely. UV adhesives deliver that precise, reliable bonding quickly. Plus, the controlled curing process is really important for ensuring that biocompatibility. You don't want reactions.
Got it. And you also mentioned 3D printing. How do UV adhesives fit in there?
Yeah, that's another fascinating application. The report stresses how they're becoming vital for joining 3D printed parts together quickly and strongly.
So as 3D printing grows,
The demand for effective bonding solutions like UV adhesives grows with it. Think about countries like India aiming to grab a bigger slice of the global additive manufacturing market. They need efficient post-processing, like bonding.
right. And beyond these big industrial uses, you mentioned smart packaging earlier, sounds cutting edge.
It really is. Innovations in UV adhesives are helping create packaging that can be interactive.
Interactive how?
Well, maybe integrating electronics or security features. And they can also contribute to more eco-friendly packaging designs. Companies like Sealed Air are really pushing the boundaries there.
Okay, so lots of growth, lots of innovation. Are there any downsides, any hurdles for this market?
Well, the report does point out one key restraint: the initial cost.
Cost of the adhesives themselves.
Not just the adhesives, but mainly the curing equipment. You need specialized gear, like UV lamps, maybe reactors.
Ah, okay. So it's an investment to get started.
Exactly. And that upfront cost can be a significant barrier, especially, for smaller businesses.
Makes sense.
Although it's worth remembering there's innovation happening there too. We mentioned Henkel earlier launching that solvent-free UV coating for electronics back in February. That kind of thing addresses environmental concerns and might eventually help with overall costs.
Right. So looking ahead, what are the key trends, the report flags? We talked about 3D printing.
Yeah.
Anything else major?
The other really big one is the ongoing advancement in how these adhesives are used in medical device manufacturing.
More sophisticated uses.
Yeah. As medical tech gets more complex, the unique abilities of UV adhesives, that precision, fast cure, biocompatibility, they just become more and more essential.
Okay. Let's switch gears a bit and look at the adhesives themselves, the different types. The report breaks it down by resin type. It seems epoxy is the big one right now.
That's right. Epoxy is currently the dominant type.
Why is that? What makes it so popular?
Well, the report suggests it's down to a great mix of properties. It cures fast under UV, forms really strong bonds, and it's super versatile.
Meaning it works on lots of different things.
Exactly. Good for electronics, automotive, even aerospace applications. We actually saw Henkel expanding their manufacturing in India recently, likely to meet demand for high-performance stuff like this, including epoxies. It's kind of the workhorse right now.
Okay, the workhorse. At the other end, what's growing fastest? The report mentioned polyurethane.
Yes, polyurethane is pegged as the fastest-growing segment.
And what's driving that?
Polyurethane itself, it's used in foams, coatings, it's flexible but strong, but bonding it can sometimes be tricky with traditional methods.
Okay.
So UV-curable polyurethanes offer a solution. Fast UV curing gives you a strong bond. Even on these sometimes difficult materials, it addresses specific bonding challenges effectively.
Interesting. And you see market shifts too, right?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned Evonik planning to scale back some adhesive units.
Yeah, that news came out last October. It just shows how dynamic things are. Companies are constantly adjusting strategies in this competitive space.
Right. Okay, let's talk end-use industries. Where are these adhesives actually ending up? The report says building and construction has the largest share. That surprised me a little.
It might seem counterintuitive at first, yeah. But think about construction UV adhesives offer fast curing and strong bonds on common materials like glass, metals.
Okay.
And a key thing, the UV curing process doesn't generate a lot of heat. That's a big plus when you're working with materials that might be damaged by heat-based bonding.
Oh, that makes sense for things like laminating glass or delicate finishes.
Exactly. And things like government initiatives for affordable housing, like the one in Maharashtra, probably help sustain demand for efficient building methods.
Got it. And the medical segment, as we discussed, is also a major user and growing fast.
Absolutely. The speed, the precision, that crucial biocompatibility, it makes UV adhesives perfect for catheters, surgical tools, all sorts of medical devices. Reliability is just paramount there.
Okay. And finally, who are the big companies making all this stuff? It sounds pretty competitive.
Oh, it definitely is. Highly competitive. You've got major global players. Henkel, 3M, Dymax are some key names mentioned.
And they're all pushing innovation.
Constantly. R&D is huge for them. They need to keep developing new products to stay ahead.
The report mentioned some recent examples, didn't it? Henkel with a one-step alignment adhesive.
Yeah, that was July 2023. And Masterbond introduced a new UV and heat curing system last December.
So always tweaking, always improving.
Exactly. These new developments often aim to make manufacturing even faster, maybe use less energy for curing, or work on even more types of materials. It really shows how dynamic the market is.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Our deep dive into this UV adhesives report. What are the big takeaways?
Well, first off, significant growth expected, right? Doubling by 2033.
Yeah, driven by that 9.2% CAGR.
Second, Asia-Pacific is the dominant region now and growing fastest.
But North America is a strong second, also with solid growth.
Definitely. Third, the key drivers are industries like automotive, medical electronics. But we're also seeing exciting new uses pop up.
Like 3D printing and that smart packaging stuff.
Exactly. And fourth, while epoxy is the main resin type now, polyurethane is growing rapidly to meet specific challenges.
And construction and medical are the biggest end-use sectors, though applications are broad.
Precisely. It's all about the demand for faster, more precise, and sometimes greener bonding solutions. That's really pushing UV tier forward. The equipment cost is a factor, but the benefits and innovation seem to be winning out.
So here's something to think about as we finish. Just consider the number of everyday things you use. Your phone, maybe your car components, even benefiting from medical advances. This UV adhesive technology, it's kind of hidden, but it's playing a really critical role in making those things possible in how they're designed and built.
It really makes you wonder.
Yeah, where else could this super fast, precise bonding be a total game changer? Maybe in areas we haven't even thought of yet.
That's a great question. And if this dive into UV adhesives sparked your interest, definitely look deeper. Check out specific applications and fields you care about, or maybe look into the companies leading the charge.
There's definitely a whole hidden world of sticking things together out there.